So they're not going to fire Mike Tomlin. Aaron's, of course, going to always defend him. They have no young quarterback for the future. It's one of the oldest rosters in the league. The money's mostly spent on defense. Pittsburgh is stuck in a mediocrity loop. And they're never terrible, but exceedingly average. And they've become so consumed with stability, loyalty. Hey, at least we're not Cleveland. Yeah, but either are the Chiefs, the Rams, or the Niners, and they take swings. I mean, a prime example of the Steelers, they go get DK Metcalf, and yet the Steelers are last in the NFL with Aaron Rodgers in air yards per attempt. So they buy a sports car and don't know how to drive it. And it's not just about not winning a playoff game for 9 years. I went and looked at Mike Tomlin's last 13 playoff games. There's 6 blowout losses. In fact, in their last 7 playoff games, they have not led for a single snap in the second half in any of them. The games aren't that competitive. You thought last night was competitive, start of the fourth. You knew who the better team was. So there's an old saying about, you can't save your way to being wealthy, just being content. And that's how I feel about the Steelers. They want to be, they're content, which to me just feels like a weighted blanket. I just don't get it. You got to take swings, increase risk. We're going into another season. Aaron will take off. They won't have any urgency at quarterback. And it's actually the easy way out in life to not offend anybody and be loyal to all your employees. That is the easy way out in life. It's hard to fire people. And I'm not insisting that you should fire Tomlin. It's not what I'm saying. He'd get a TV job or another job in 1 second. He's more than competent. Stop spending money on defense, okay? Last night, it's like I know in Pittsburgh, and I get it. It's an old school, proud town that putting fries on a sandwich is cool. But the rest of the country took the fries, moved them on a plate, put Parmesan cheese and truffle salt on them. That's what the rest of us do.
The rest of us putting truffle salt on fries right now?
Okay, interesting. Yeah, listen, this was obviously a really bad loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not a matter of that they just lost. It was just that offensively they just seemingly had no chance. And the defense did its job. Obviously the score 32-6 is very misleading. The way how this game ended up unfolding. And the truth is even if you had Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow in this game, are you winning this game? I mean, like maybe if it's like a game where like a Josh Allen goes off for like 100+ rushing yards or something. But like there was just nowhere for them to go. They couldn't run the ball. Nobody was ever open. When Aaron does hit a receiver, they drop it. Then Aaron's getting lit up. It's just it was just a rough showing. And yeah, the Houston Texans defense is awesome. And they got after Mahomes, Allen, et cetera, et cetera. This defense makes things brutal for everyone. And that's why I was excited to see what Aaron Rodgers looked like from the neck up, to see like what can he do to manipulate this defense. And there just wasn't a whole lot there. And then you need your players to make plays, and they simply could not. I mean, their average third down, it was like the average yard to gain was like over 11 yards. Over. I mean, it was just brutal. And there's just no big plays to be found. And I mean, the reality is that this team hasn't done anything in a decade. And to not think that changes don't need to be made is kind of crazy. And it's not even necessarily we'll go fire Mike Tomlin. It's not even that. But you need to be aggressive somehow, Snorts, somewhere. Figure something out. And this is just the problem with the Mike T-Man. I've said this before, that if you have a smart offensive coach, they're the ones that are at least like, well, I can take Daniel Jones, I can take Sam Darnold. Like, I can see that. Although, look at the Seattle Seahawks. They have a defensive head coach, and yet they were confident and smart enough to say, you know what? We do not think that Sam Darnold is just a product of the Minnesota Vikings. We can win with him. And they're the #1 team in the NFL. and have a first-round bye and have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And Sam Darnold was awesome. So it's not even just about having like the right offensive coach, and it wasn't even Clint Kubiak's. It's not like they have an amazing offensive coordinator who was there in the long term and was like, okay, let's go do this here. Like, that wasn't the case. That was an organizational decision that they made, and they knew how to build the offense as well. So this is where the Steelers are fundamentally failing. And you can't just say, oh, well, they keep winning, so they can't draft a quarterback, or they tried to draft quarterback and it didn't work. It's like the Seahawks went through similar issues, and yet they've been able to find their way through it. Same thing with the Colts, obviously things fell apart because they got hurt, but they found a way through it as well. Make no mistake about it, Daniel Jones was actually fully healthy. That team was making the playoffs, and I'm not telling you they were going to go win the Super Bowl, but they were certainly looking better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so it just begs the question of, what do the Steelers need to do to move forward to finally take a step forward? The Broncos were going nowhere. They bring in Sean Payton. He kicks Russ out of the building. He brings in Bo Nix. They're the #1 seed in the NFL. Home field advantage, first round bye. I mean, sometimes you got to take that big swing and you can move up in the draft. Trade up, do something, be aggressive. Take a swing. Take a chance. Take a swing on a Malik Willis or something on a Mac Jones. Like, I don't know. But my point is it's not so much of like what's guaranteed to work, but it's like actually taking that swing. And listen, Russ and Justin Fields were not really that swing. They just weren't. There was no strong reason to believe that they were going to be snorts, super successful. And even then, when you could win with Russ, you needed a better defense and you simply did not have it. You needed a shutdown defense. Like, yeah, you could have won with Russ if you had a shutdown defense like the Houston Texans had this year, but you didn't. So, you couldn't win. You couldn't stop Derrick Henry. You couldn't stop Lamar Jackson when the year before that the Kansas City Chiefs held them to 10 points. The 10 points in the AFC Championship game. So, yeah, that would have been nice. You could have built a team where now you had an elite defense and you got a seasoned veteran like Russell Wilson, and you were like, all right, we're going to win some games like this now, but that's not the way it unfolded. And in that moment, Mike Todman, to me, deserves even more blame, because it's like you needed a Houston Texans defense that year. And then if you do, you win games. You win playoff games. And that's not what happened. So it's like, I'm not going to pretend like I know the exact decision here, but to think that you can just keep continuing in the same way again and again and again. I mean, the Eagles are going to look to maybe fire Nick Sirianni, their coach, who just won a Super Bowl. I don't think he will get fired, but they're going to fire their offensive coordinator. They make aggressive moves, and because of that, they've won 2 Super Bowls in 8 years with 2 completely different coaching staffs, with 2 completely different rosters, different quarterbacks. And in 22, they got to a Super Bowl. They lost in 23. They took a step back. They let a lot of people go. They were firing the coordinators, the coaches. Then they were aggressive on offense and defense. 24 won the Super Bowl. 25 took a step back. Better believe changes are coming. Better believe changes are coming. Like, that's how it works. And the moment they get wind that Siri isn't good enough, that Jalen Hurts isn't good enough, they'll move on. They will move on. They will find someone better and build something better. You got to be aggressive. You got to be aggressive, and the Steelers are simply not that. And again, if we're going to take this defensive mindset, then you better build an absolute suffocating dominant defense. An absolute suffocating dominant defense that makes it essentially impossible for teams to score any points on. It's not to say that this defense was bad this year. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But in some of these huge moments, it's like, yep. And that is what the Texans defense did since this year for sure. So I'm curious to see what they do. I don't know if it's just as easy as, move on from Mike Tomlin. But yeah, something needs to change. Something needs to change. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do you think it's time for them to move on from Mike Tomlin? Do you think Mike Tomlin is the main source of the problems? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun, and please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.